Hello dear students, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy and good evening. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss a very important topic, two very important topics. So these two topics are very important for your prelims examination and even for mains and as well as your interview also. So therefore, the first topic that we are going to discuss as part of this session is geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle, and this satellite launch vehicle is also called as the naughty boy. Okay, so this is also called as the naughty boy. So therefore, in this lecture, in the first part of this lecture, we will understand what exactly is the meaning of naughty boy, why GSLV is called as the naughty boy, and what is GSLV, and how GSLV, what are the features of GSLV, and why it is not the workhorse of the ISRO, and why PSLV is called as workhorse of ISRO. We will understand all those things as part of this lecture. Okay, so because in UPSC also there were questions on PSLV and GSLV previously. On space technology also they are regularly asking at least one question. So therefore it is important for you to have a basic knowledge about GSLV and PSLV as well. So in this second part of the very same lecture, we will talk about the Starlink. Okay, Starlink. So this is a constellation of satellites, and this Starlink is owned by the SpaceX of Elon Musk, and this provides affordable internet services to the remote corners across the world. So we will also understand what exactly Starlink and how it works, and apart from Starlink, any other initiative similar to the Starlink, we will understand those things as well. So now first come to the first part of this lecture, that is GSLV and why it is called as a naughty boy. So recently, Indian Space Research Organization has launched a new generation meteorological satellite, and this is called as INSAT 3DS. Okay, so Indian navigation satellite. Okay, so INSAT 3DS. So this was launched by GSLV F-14 rocket. So because of this, in this context, GSLV is called as the naughty boy. Okay, so what is GSLV? GSLV is a geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle, and it is formally known as the GSLV Mark II. So this is one of the heavy lift launch vehicles that we have, and it is mostly used to launch the communication satellites. So please remember, earlier India do not have the capability to launch heavy satellites such as communication satellites. So therefore we used to launch these communication satellites from the French Guiana. Okay, so from the French Guiana we used to launch these communication satellites. So now we have our own GSLV Mark III, so that can be used to launch heavy weight communication satellites. So however, if you look at the GSLV, it is considered as a 3-stage vehicle. Okay, so in different stages, different fuels are used in the GSLV. Now in the third stage, the cryogenic engine will be used. Okay, so in the first stage, second stage, and the third stage, and in different stages it uses the different technologies when it comes different fuels. So when it comes to the GSLV, it uses the cryogenic engine at the third stage, and this indigenous cryogenic engine was developed with the reverse engineering of Russian design. So this is indigenously developed. This cryogenic engine that is being used in the GSLV was indigenously developed by reverse engineering the Russian design of cryo engineering, right? Now if you look at the payload under the GSLV, it can carry more than 2200 kg of geostationary orbits and 6000 kg of low Earth orbits. So in the geostationary orbits, generally what happens, the GSLV has to fly more distance, okay, higher heights. So because of this reason, it can carry only 2200 kilograms of geostationary orbits, and for low Earth orbits, it can carry up to 6000 kilograms of satellites. Okay, so in this, three main rockets are being used. Okay, so ISRO uses three main rockets so that have been carrying these satellites. For example, the GSLV, geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle, polar satellite launch vehicle, and light launch vehicle. So this is also called as LVM3. So this is also called as GSLV Mark 3. So GSLV Mark 3 is the advanced version of Mark 2. So this will carry higher weight satellites into the orbit. Okay, so GSLV Mark 3. Okay, so launch vehicle Mark 3. This is not light vehicle. Launch vehicle Mark 3, polar satellite launch vehicle, and geosynchronous launch vehicle. So now in this context, we will understand why it is called as a naughty boy. Why GSLV is called with the name naughty boy. So because it is named so because it has a inconsistency in its performance. It is not consistent like polar satellite launch vehicle. Rather, it is considered as inconsistent in its performance, because GSLV has a very high failure rate. Since it has a very high failure rate and it is inconsistent in its performance, it is called as a naughty boy. Okay, so before this launch, GSLV had failed in 4 times among 15 launches. Okay, so out of 15 launches of GSLV, 4 launches were failed. Because of this reason, GSLV is called as the naughty boy. Okay, so the most recent failure of the GSLV was in August 2021. So in August 2021, the GSLV was carrying the Earth observation satellite named EOS-03 into the space. So this was the failure of the GSLV. So because of the multiple failures and inconsistent performance of the GSLV, it is called with a name naughty boy. Okay, so next, so PSLV, which has used its maximum number of times by the ISRO. Okay, so in fact PSLV is called as the workhorse of ISRO. So this is complete opposite to the GSLV, because it has the high success rate than the GSLV. So PSLV has a very high success rate when compared to the GSLV, and because of this reason, PSLV is also called as workhorse of ISRO. So PSLV was used maximum times by the ISRO, and it has failed only twice in 60 launches. So imagine GSLV failed 4 times out of 15 launches, and PSLV failed only once in 60 launches. Okay, so if you look at this launch vehicle Mark 3, advanced version of GSLV Mark 2, advanced version of GSLV Mark 2. So this LVM3 has tested so far 7 times, or it has flown 7 times. However, it has 0 failures. So LVM3 does not have the failure record, and PSLV has also failed just once in a 60 launches, but GSLV failed 4 times in a 15 launches, and because of this reason, it is called as the naughty boy by the ISRO. So there are number of reasons for the failure of GSLV. So what are those reasons? First and foremost, it uses the cryogenic engine in its 3rd stage, as we have already discussed. Okay, so it uses the cryogenic engine in the 3rd stage. So as part of this cryogenic engine, it uses both hydrogen and oxygen as a fuel. Okay, so it uses both hydrogen and oxygen as a fuel. So this hydrogen and oxygen will be used in a liquid state to keep them stable. And the other thing is that when I say cryogenic essentially means that very low temperatures. Okay, so very low temperatures, this is cryogenic, right? So hydrogen and oxygen will be kept as a liquid to ensure that it's stable, it is stable. Okay, so this liquefaction is possible only at a very low temperatures, and this is also called as cryogenic temperatures. So hydrogen is liquefied at -250 degrees Celsius, and oxygen is liquefied at about -90 degrees Celsius. Okay, so these factors have been the major cause of the failure of the GSLV Mark 2. GSLV Mark 2, otherwise called as naughty boy. Okay, so the reason for its failure is because of its cryogenic engine. So in this context, we will understand some quick facts with respect to the Indian space program. Okay, so INSAT 3DS, so that was launched recently with the GSLV. So it will augment two existing meteorological satellites, INSAT 3D and INSAT 3DR. Okay, so augmentation means it will add to the strength of these two existing satellites in the space by INSAT 3DS. So these satellites are meteorological satellites. So when I say meteorological satellites, so they predict the weather, and they also predict the disasters over different regions, and they will also help us understand the air quality. They predict the temperature over a particular region. So all these things will be predicted through these meteorological satellites. Okay, so right, so it is already given here. It monitors Earth's surface, atmosphere, oceans and environment, and it will also boost India's weather and climate prediction services. It provides early warnings with respect to cyclones and cold wave or heat wave. About these things, it gives the early warnings, and it will also provide the disaster management services. This INSAT 3DS satellite that was launched through the GSLV. Now when I say cryogenics, what does it cryogenic means? I have already told you about this. So cryogenics is usually a science which is relating to the behavior of a material at a very low temperatures. Okay, so behavior, what is the behavior of the material at a very low temperatures? So that is called as cryogenics. So missile technology control regime, what does it mean? So it controls the missile export technology. Okay, so this is an international legal framework, and India is also a member of the missile technology control regime. Okay, so this is an international legal framework, and this mean to stop the proliferation of missile technology. Okay, for example, there are states which are considered as rogue states, the not responsible states. So in case if this missile technology has passed on to these states, then they would threaten the global peace and security. So in order to ensure the missile technology would not be passed on to these rogue countries, the missile technology control regime has been established. Because what happens, this very same technology would be passed on to the non-state actors. Okay, for example, terrorists. So that could have a lot of implications for the global peace. So after that, this NISAR also, we will understand this. So NISAR is an Earth observation satellite, and it will be jointly launched by the NASA of US and ISRO of India. So this is synthetic aperture radar, and a first of its kind collaboration between ISRO and NASA. Okay, so this is about the NISAR, NASA and ISRO synthetic aperture radar. Okay, so this is first of its kind collaboration between NASA and ISRO, right? This is an Earth observation satellite, and this is about missile technology control regime, cryogenics, and INSAT 3DS. So I hope you understood why GSLV is called as the naughty boy. Next, we will understand about the Starlink. Okay, so what exactly is the meaning of this Starlink? So Starlink is a low Earth orbiting broadband service. So broadband service in the sense it provides internet services to the remotest corners who are otherwise does not have access to the internet facilities. So this usually runs a constellation of satellites in the low Earth orbit. So in fact, it is in use because this Starlink has played a crucial role in assisting Ukraine's armed forces during the Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, so during the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Starlink has played a very crucial role helping the Ukrainian armed forces. So not just the Ukrainian armed forces, the Starlink has several objectives, because since taking up these cables across the world would not be possible, providing internet access at an affordable price would also be not possible at this point of time. So this Starlink ensures access to the broadband services to different consumer segments. Okay, I hope you have understood about the Starlink. Okay, so this is a constellation of many satellites. Okay, so these satellites orbit around the earth at 550 kilometers. So because of this reason, it is called as these satellites are orbiting around the low earth orbit, and they are orbiting entire the globe. Okay, so they provide their services across the globe. So this is an internet satellite network. So the world's first and largest satellite constellation. So that was launched in the year 2019. So please understand, this is world's first and largest satellite constellation which launched in the year 2019. Okay, so next we will understand that. So what exactly is the Starlink? Okay, right. So we have understood that Starlink provides internet services or broadband services across the globe. Okay, so therefore, this was launched by SpaceX. So this is a private space agency which is based on US. Okay, so it is led by Elon Musk. So this has sent a constellation of satellites into space in the name of Starlink to provide broadband services across the globe. Okay, so apart from Starlink, there's also another constellation, so that is called as OneWeb. So this is also similar to Starlink, would provide broadband services across the globe. Okay, so this also provides the necessary broadband services across the globe. Okay, so this is briefly about the Starlink and its basic objectives. And when I say advantages, so it provides internet access at affordable prices to the consumers who are otherwise not connected with the broadband services. Okay, so who are otherwise do not have access to the broadband service, and it will provide access to the internet to the remote people who are living in the remotest corners across the world. Okay, so in fact Airtel also have a plans to use such a technology for providing broadband services across India. Now even if you look at India, the broadband services have not spread across all parts. So therefore, in order to further expand this, so Airtel also has a plans similar to the Starlink. Okay, so that's all in this lecture, and thank you.